Dear students, welcome to the lecture 9 of this English language course. In this lecture, I will gonna talk about how to express a habit in English by using present simple tense, present continuous tense, will and would, used to plus infinitive verb, also the structure of be or get plus used to plus noun plus ing form. After that, I will gonna talk about the differences between homonyms and homophones and what is the meaning of each one. The first tense that we use in English to express habit is present simple tense. In present simple tense, we used adverbs of frequency, which come before the main verb if we have only the main verb in the sentence. But if we have in the sentence verb to be, so it comes after the verb to be. For example, we hardly ever go out. Hardly here is the adverb, frequency adverb, and the main verb is go out. So hardly comes before the main verb, comes before go. In general, the meaning of this sentence, it express a habit of going out. We hardly ever go out, so it's not easy for us to go out. The second example, she frequently forgets what she's doing. Frequently here is adverb of frequency, and it comes also before the main verb forgets. In general, the meaning of this example, that she usually or frequently forget what she's doing. So it expresses a habit that she forgets what she's doing. We don't usually eat fish. Usually here is the adverb of frequency, and it comes here after the verb to be, don't. And here explain the habit. We don't usually eat fish. So it's not a usual habit for us to eat fish. I rarely see Peter these days. So rarely here is the adverb of frequency, and here it comes before the main verb see. I rarely see Peter these days. So usually I don't see Peter repeatedly. We are seldom at home in the evening. Seldom here is an adverb of frequency. Here it comes after are the verb to be. We are seldom at home in the evening. Is he normally so bad-tempered? Normally here is an adverb of frequency and it expresses a habit. It comes here after is the verb to be comes as a question. Is he normally so bad-tempered? It's asking about his mood. Is he normally so bad-tempered? Is he like normally angry, so angry? In English language, it's not a condition for the adverbs to come in the beginning or to come after the auxiliary verb or before the main verb. It's not a condition. We have some adverbs which can come at the beginning or at the end of the sentence. For example, sometimes, usually, and occasionally. Sometimes we play cards. Sometimes here it comes at the beginning of the sentence, before the main verb, but at the beginning of the sentence. Sometimes we play cards to express a habit of playing cards. We go to the cinema occasionally. Occasionally here came or comes at the end of the sentence. and here it explains the habit of going to cinema. The other adverbs of frequency don't usually move in this way. So the other adverbs uh, don't usually comes in the beginning or at the end of the sentence. For example, always. I can't say always I have tea in the morning. Instead, I can say I have always tea in the morning. In English language, present continuous tense can also be used to express a habit, but usually it doesn't come alone. Uh, Usually it joins with adverbs, adverbs of frequency. So when present continuous used to express a habit, so this habit happens often and perhaps unexpectedly. In other words, it happens more than is usual. For example, I like Peter, he is always smiling. So I used to see Peter with a smiley face. So here express like a habit that happens more than usual. Or she is always giving people presents. So she has a habit of giving people a present. Here, always is the adverb of frequency, and the tense of the sentence is present continuous, is giving. However, there is often an element of a criticism with this structure. In another word, when sometimes when this kind of structure, present continuous, used, it gives a kind of a criticism, especially when it is saying by a teacher to a student. For example, Pedro always asks questions in class. This is fact. When I'm saying Pedro always asks question in a class, this is a fact. But when I'm saying Pedro is always asking questions in a class, it means this habit annoys the teacher because it comes like more than usual. There is usually an adverb of frequency with this use. So when I'm using a present continuous to express a habit, usually there are specific adverb I use with the present continuous tense. For example, always. Always, I'm always losing my keys. Or forever, she is forever leaving the bath taps running. Both will and would can use to express a habit or a typical behavior. Both of them can describe either a pleasant or unpleasant habit. For example, when I'm saying he will sit at his computer for hours on end, it means he is happy to sit all the time at his computer, and this is a pleasant habit. But when I'm saying she would spend all day long gossiping with the neighbors, this is a bad habit. It means she likes to talk about people behind their backs. Uh, would can't be used to express a state. For example, I can't say he would live in a large house. Instead, I would say he used to live in a large house. Both would and will, when decontracted and stressed, express an annoying habit or action. For example, he will come into the house with his muddy boots on. This is annoying habit. Also, when I will say she would make us wash in ice cold water. Here also is an annoying habit. Also, the combination of used to plus infinitive verb can use to express either a past action of the subject or a state of the subject. There is no present equivalent for used to in English language. So when I say when I was a child, we used to go on holiday to the seaside. Here used to express the action of the subject we. So we often go on holiday to the seaside. In this example, used to express the state of the subject. So he used to live in a large house. Used to here express the state of the subject. Please notice that the negative and the question of used to. In a question, I say, where did you used to go? Where did you used to go? While in negative form, I will say, we didn't used to do anything interesting. We didn't used to. Also, we can't use used to with a time reference or with a number. For example, I can't say we used to have a holiday there for 10 years, or we used to have a holiday there for 3 times. This is incorrect. Instead, we can say we used to go there every year. In a narrative, when expressing a series of past actions, it's common to begin with used to, then continue with would for reason of style. For example, when I was a child, we used to go on holiday to the seaside. We would play on beach, then we would eat at a small cafe at lunchtime. Dear students, this combination of be or get plus used to plus noun plus ing form also can use to express an action or express a habit. But please notice that this totally different from used to alone with infinitive. Here, this combination of or this structure is express an action that was either difficult, strange, or unusual before, but is no longer so. Let's take this example. I'm getting used to the climate. It means that the climate or the weather can't suit me in the beginning. It's difficult for me to live in that climate, but with time, I'm getting used to that climate. I will give you another example that used to can come as an adjective, and it means familiar with. For example, I found it difficult to get around London when I first came, but I'm used to it now. Here, used to means familiar with, but I am familiar with it now. Also, when I say I'm used to getting around London by tube, I'm familiar to getting around London by tube. Notice the use of get to express the process of change. For example, don't worry, you will get used to eating with chopsticks. It means um, the there is a process of change from can't use the chopsticks to eat to use the chopsticks to eat. So you will get used to eating with chopsticks with time. It will be easy for you to use chopsticks for eating with time. So now we finished talk about how to use different English tense to express a habit or action. I will gonna talk about another topic. Maybe this is your first time to hear about homonyms and homophones. Homonyms are words with the same spelling and more than one meaning. For example, a bank in the high street. Here, a bank is a financial institution where customers can save or borrow money. While when I say the bank of a river, bank here, it means the side of a river. Another example, I have supported you up till now, but don't bank on it forever. Bank here, it means depend on. Homophones are words with the same pronunciation but different spellings and different meanings. For example, the road to the town center. Road here, it means the way to the town center. She rode a horse. Rode here is the past tense of ride. She ride a horse. I rode across the river. It means I traveled across the river. So the three words have the same pronunciation but with different spell and different meanings.
Tape script 9.11. 1. Pat.
If you ask me, this is a terrible idea. Well, firstly, good body image isn't something that you can teach. Secondly, schools don't have time to add another non-academic subject into their packed curriculum. And another thing is that teachers have enough to do, and it's really down to the parents to try and develop self-esteem in their children. And personally, I've never worried too much about how I look, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that young people's education should be about qualifications for their future, not worrying about body image.
2. Ian.
To tell you the truth, I haven't really thought about it. I suppose the problem is that there are lots of images of beautiful models out there in the media. But, as far as I'm concerned, people come in all shapes and sizes. I don't see what's wrong with that. Actually, it would be a pretty boring world if we all looked the same, wouldn't it? And personality is what counts after all. And just trying to be happy. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't really feel strongly one way or the other about young people and their body image.
3. Helen.
If you want my opinion, I think this is a really good idea. Many of today's teenagers are obsessed with the idea of physical perfection. Basically, they feel like an outsider if they look different in any way. As I understand it, this is true of boys as much as girls. But the main point is that the media and celebrity culture sells them an image of beauty which they will never achieve. What really worries me is that cosmetic surgery and eating disorders are going to become the norm for the next generation. In conclusion, I think that schools should play a greater role in developing teenagers' self-esteem.
Tape script 9.12.
Some of my clearest and earliest memories are of my first school, so I'd like to share a particular memory about that. It's a memory that still upsets me after all these years. I was 4 years old and had just started school. It was quite a long way from my house and there were no school buses, so I had to walk. My sister is 11 years older than me and her big school was next to mine, so my mum sometimes asked her to take me to school. She was not keen to do this. She had no time for a small, irritating sister dragging along behind her. She liked to meet up with her cool friends. What's more, because her school day started later than mine, she was happy to dawdle and chat with her friends, and she refused to hurry to get me there on time. I was always an anxious child, and I would tug at her sleeve and fret about being late. She'd just shake me off. Anyway, one day was particularly bad, and it has been burned in my brain ever since. It was pouring with rain, and we splashed through puddles as we walked. My sister was moaning all the time about how the rain was ruining her hair because she was hoping to meet a certain boy on the way. On that day, he didn't turn up, and this put her in a very bad mood. I was wearing my new red welly boots, and they were really difficult to pull on and off. I was full of fear. Miss Marks, my teacher, would kill me if I was late again. Finally, we got there, and my sister, suddenly energised, ran off, leaving me to cope with the wellies. The cloakroom was empty, and I sat tearfully on the bench, tugging at the wretched boots. I put on my indoor shoes and crept into the back of the classroom. I was very late and very scared. The other kids were making mosaic pictures with lots of different coloured bits of sticky paper. I had been so looking forward to doing this. Art was my best subject, and I'd planned to do a beautiful portrait of my black and white cat. Miss Marks called across the room, "Elizabeth, late again! Where have you been?" I hung my head. I knew telling tales about my rotten sister would cut no ice with Miss Marks. "You'll just have to sit in the corner and do a jigsaw." So I did, silently weeping and cursing my sister. I never did make a mosaic picture of my cat. To this day, my sister insists she can't remember anything about this. However, I believe it's the reason I have such a problem with lateness. I always arrive on time.